Well, I'm afraid more scenes of disorder. Essex Police launched a dispersal zone in Southend earlier this evening after reports hundreds of people have flocked to the city for a so-called beach party advertised on TikTok. There have also been reports of young people running around with enormous knives. Footage from social media shows two people running around with large knives. Multiple police, the Essex Police helicopter and ambulance crews have also been in the centre of the town this evening dealing with the incident. Videos on social media also show a large crowd running away from the seafront en masse and heading towards the high street. Now, 6 people have been arrested, so we can't discuss the specifics of this shocking footage. But this really looks, doesn't it, Amy, to be lawless Britain?
It does. All I can think is, you know, we've been through a lot as a country with Brexit, we had COVID.
So are you blaming Brexit for knife crime?
I didn't hear that. We didn't
people
finish
going
the
around
point.
with machetes because of Brexit.
If you think back to that time, it was incredibly divisive. Referendums bring out the extremes, they bring out division.
Do you think that lad with the machete you just saw, is he a Remainer?
The whole point is...
Let Amy make her point first.
Rewind. Lawless Britain, start. No Brexit. Go.
Well, OK, what's your explanation then?
No, just...
It's not...
No, are you blaming knife crime on Brexit?
I'm saying that there is obviously something that has led to the behaviour we're seeing now. I would say it is Brexit followed by COVID, followed by being absolutely broke and having our public services trashed.
How has Brexit caused people to go around with machetes?
As you'll see, there was a little stepping stones, wasn't there? But Brexit divided us. It put us against each other. That sowed the seeds of division.
The people with machetes, are they Remainers?
I would say...
Are they Lib Dem voters, do you think?
I know you think it's all big, jolly and silly,
well, I think
but
it's
it was a starting point.
I've probably ever heard in all my life.
So you don't think Brexit was divisive?
I don't think Brexit has caused people to go around with machetes.
But as I said, Brexit, pandemic, public services. So what do you think it is?
This is a new nadir for Brexit.
What do you think it is then? What do you think it is?
I think it's poverty, inequality. I think it's young people without a stake in society. I think it's gangs. I think it's drug abuse and the drug industry. And I think it's also woke policing. There you go.
Woke policing.
Yeah.
I think that is
where
the most
cops are more
nonsense thing
focused
I've heard.
on spending money on rainbow flags for their cars and visiting people in their houses for an unkind Facebook post.
That is woke derangement syndrome.
I don't think it's deranged. I think it's rational.
Respond.
Esther, it's all yours.
Yep.
Do your worst, and then Niall's ready.
Yes. OK. I'm just going to pretend like I didn't hear the last 90 seconds of conversation that just happened. So knife crime in the UK. Clearly what we're doing is not working because over the last 10 years, knife crime incidents have gone up by 78%. The policing side of the issue, while not straightforward, is a bit more obvious, which is increase stop and search, actually penalise people that are carrying knives, find a way to make manufacturers of these horrible ghost, like zombie knives and all of that, have some sort of tracking system. Obviously, you can't do that with kitchen knives and tools for workmen, but you can do that for the kinds of cutlasses and instruments that these young people are choosing to carry. They're not carrying kitchen knives, surprisingly. They're carrying machetes and zombie knives. So there's that. But on the society front, because society does have a role to play here, it's not all on the government or the police.
Correct.
We need to be questioning the culture and the types of homes, the households that are producing young people that think it's acceptable to roam our streets, to terrorise the British public with these types of knives. And unfortunately, that's a very uncomfortable situation because the kinds of people that you're seeing carrying knives, engaging in knife crime, going to prison mainly, are not privately educated, public school boys from Chelsea. Right? They're usually ethnic minority, predominantly males under 25 that grow up in single-parent, predominantly single-mother-led homes. And that is the reason why we need to get to grips with this, because we are talking about effectively an underclass of Britain that are obviously socioeconomically deprived, but also culturally are do not feel like they live in a country that they have a stake in. They're engrossed in a culture that thinks it's acceptable to be walking around with knives. Some of them use it as a protection because they feel like if they don't have it, they can't protect themselves from other knife-carrying people, which increases the likelihood of knife crime. It's absurd.
And these young people don't have a stake in our society and they don't have British values. And they are British, but they don't share in British values. They have no respect for the rule of law, Niall.
Yeah, exactly. And I must respond to to the comments earlier about Brexit, because I think that's straight out of the Twilight Zone, really.
It's interesting, though, because all of you said that it's about having a stake in society and having opportunities. Brexit has removed a lot of those.
Brexit
OK, go ahead.
does not cause gangs of marauding thugs and hooligans
but just to be honest, that's not what I said, and you know that's not what I said.
You're blind.
Let me help you. The British economy has outperformed the Eurozone since Brexit, so if anything...
I don't need your help. I just said to sit on this sofa week in, week out to see how much Brexit has divided us.
Brexit's actually been a great... Brexit's been a great blessing for Britain. Let me just say, with these hooligans, thugs on the streets, they need to be serving long sentences in jail, right? Okay, we need to be locking these people up for very long periods.
Don't need a lot of prisons.
Need more prisons, more police, end of the woke policing on the streets. And we need to see real strong law and order in place to deal with increasing lawlessness. And also, we need an education system whereby, people in schools are actually taught British values, respect for British culture, heritage, history and tradition.
Well, I mean,
they should love their nation. And I think what we are seeing, this lawlessness is a result of decades of socialist-style thinking, where people view themselves as victims. We do need to see really strong policing, strong sentences. We need to lock up these hooligans.
I think young people are victims.
Very long periods.
They've been through so much.
There will never be enough police to police poorly raised children who have now become adults. That's just the reality. Unfortunately, you have to put the onus on the households that are producing these young people with these perverse values. That is the point. What types of households are producing the kinds of young people that think it's acceptable to walk around with zombie knives to potentially terrorize themselves, the public or members of their gangs or whatever? That's the issue. You can teach British values as much as you want in schools. These people are living within a subculture that are far removed, not just from British values, but within the communities that they're growing up in. There's a bigger issue and there's a bigger conversation to be had here. And unfortunately, we're not even like sort of scratching the surface, because we can't even get to grips with the fact that people are flagrantly carrying knives on the back of buses in places like Brighton. I mean, they don't care. They're not scared at all. It's so brazen and it's so shameless.
Well, I don't know if you've got that footage, Matthew and Harry, but let's see if we can get that up, because that was footage of a youngster on the back of a bus holding an enormous knife. Again, an everyday scene in broken Britain. Amy, we disagree over the origins of this and the cause, but what is the solution?
Well, you completely misrepresented what I was saying, but OK, carry on.
Well, I think just saying Brexit was absurd, but you're entitled to your view. What is the answer?
It's a knife crime.
How do we fix it?
Well, you could start by recruiting more police officers that the last government cut.
Sure. I think
you could fund youth services that the last government cut.
I think that's a fair point.
And you could, I don't know, what do you think? I've completely given up on this conversation.
We should be locking them up.
Have you gone on strike, just like the junior doctors? Listen, I'll give you an extra 20% to keep talking. Paid for by Rachel Rees.
We've got to make them pay a penalty for this kind of crime. They get away with it.
The thing is, I don't think we're going to do anything.
Footage. Take a look at this, and this has become the norm now. This is Britain in 2024.
Where did he get that?
It's not even a story. I mean, on the back of a bus, which is illegal, wielding a knife. 20 years ago, Niall, there would have been a manhunt for this guy.
Yeah,
now it's just a viral video.
There should be 10 years in jail for that, right?
Yeah.
10 years in jail.
But what about preventative measures?
Well, like stop and search, which have been cut because apparently it's racist. I mean, even though every time stop and search is done, 1 in 5 times stop and search is done.
Well, is it racist? Is it racist, Esther?
Well, no, because the thing is, police... Then all policing is racist, because police work with profiles. So if you say someone's committed a crime and they were a 6-foot-tall white male and they need to be stopped and searched, no one has anything to say. But when it's in communities with large groups of ethnic minorities, then suddenly it's horrible. I'm not saying that policing has been done perfectly, or there hasn't been a breakdown of trust with police forces, particularly in communities that have high ethnic minority populations. I do think you need to bring back local policing with actual teeth, and you need to be serious about it. That's absolutely valid. But the reality is, this is not just about protecting one group of people, it's about protecting the British public. And we have to see what's better for the wider good, and that is stop and search.
OK, what do you think, Amy? Do you think we should have more stop and search?
I don't think it's good for the wider public. I think it's a bit like saying, right, we want to stop people dying on the road, so we're going to make everyone drive at 10 miles an hour.
No, but that doesn't make sense.
I think stop and search causes more harm than good, based on people's experiences. You get people who are stopped.
One at a time, Amy.
I'm going based on results, not about feelings. It's the most effective.
So that's what I'm saying. If you want results, you could do so many things. You could,
when stop and
search is more stop and traumatise, isn't it?
When stop and search goes up, knife crime goes down.
Yes.
But at what cost? Why don't you think about the other things that you could...
I want knives off the road.
But there are preventative things that we're not doing that we could do before we enact stop and search more violently.
One thing.
And Amy, briefly...
You can do multiple things at the same time.
Briefly, how do we fix the values in our society? How do we fix our broken communities and
maybe give
these
people
homes?
a bit of a stake in society so that they can actually like a house, maybe to start with, maybe a bit of connection, community, that type of thing. Good public services, pay doctors.
Well, so junior doctors get a pay rise and there'll be less knife crime. That's up there with Brexit. Niall, brief last word if you can.
Yes. Stop and search, of course, works. It's highly effective. It should be fully implemented. But also, where you have crimes committed by illegal migrants here, they should be deported. Send them out of the country. They should not be here.
OK, agree on that one.